Hello listeners, and welcome to this week's recording of Boomerang. Team 3 is here. My name is Jim, and your other readers are
Therine,
Nan,
and Ray. Andrew is our engineer tonight and will be doing the recording, and Ray will be doing the copying and the distribution. The news this week is taken, with permission of course, from the West Lothian Courier dated Thursday the 2nd of October, and we are recording this on the 2nd of October. Any anecdotes have been taken from the Reader's Digest, again with their permission. So, as usual, the recording this week has been divided into 4 sections, and can I remind you right from the start that when you've listened to the whole recording, please post your wallet back to us from a post box and not the post office. So, we will start the first section with some general news.
First Minister apologises to footballer for her 5-hour wait for an ambulance. John Swinney has said sorry to a young footballer who endured a 5-hour wait for an ambulance after suffering a double leg break. Linlithgow Rose ladies player Brooke Patterson, 19, was in the middle of an away match at Cumbernauld United when a tackle went wrong and she was left lying on the pitch in agony. Brooke was covered in coats and blankets by coaching staff to keep her warm as she endured a painful wait for an ambulance to turn up while temperatures plummeted. Anas Sarwar raised the case of the Linlithgow player at First Minister's questions today as an example of how every part of Scotland's NHS is continuing to struggle, despite the SNP government repeatedly pledging to fix the health service. The Scottish Labour leader told MSPs, the sad fact is, despite the heroic efforts of NHS staff, the SNP is failing patients across Scotland. John Swinney will be aware of the case of Brooke Patterson. The 19-year-old footballer who broke her leg while playing in North Lanarkshire on Sunday. Despite the clear medical emergency, Brooke was left lying in pain on the pitch under jackets and coats for 5 hours until an ambulance arrived. The ambulance service blamed the 5-hour delay on hospital turnaround times, which they say range from 90 minutes to 3 hours in the area. The ambulance service has now apologised, but it's not them who have broken the system. Isn't it John Swinney who should be apologising to Brooke? The First Minister admitted an error had been made. He said, I apologise to Brooke Patterson. I've read the story this morning and made some investigations about the issue. I regret very much the experience that Brooke had. As I've looked into this, and there will have to be further scrutiny because I've had limited time to look at it, it looks to me that an error was made in the classification of this particular call. It's not had the priority it should have had. That's what it looks like from the basis of the limited time I've had to look at it, and that's not acceptable. Swinney continued, the efforts the government is putting in to resolve the challenges that will sometimes affect the ability of the ambulance service to respond, which is about the congestion of ambulances at hospitals. It requires a whole system response, which is about ensuring we reduce any delays individuals experience at hospitals and the availability of social care. Brooke told reporters earlier this week, all I can remember is screaming in pain. It was the worst pain I had ever felt in my life. I heard a snap when it happened, but I was praying it wasn't too bad. As time went on, I became more and more frustrated and upset. The fact they were just leaving me out in the cold. I'd broken my leg. I was in absolute agony. How could they even do that to me? I just don't understand how you could leave someone in that position, anyone, just lying there without any help and without any pain relief.
Dad's hay fever masks aggressive brain tumour. A dad who thought he was suffering from hay fever was shocked to find his watery eyes and runny nose were symptoms of an aggressive brain tumour. Jamie Jennings, 47, began experiencing mild allergy symptoms in May 2025, such as watery eyes, fatigue and a runny nose, which at first he thought was hay fever. But throughout the month his condition worsened and he became totally confused and couldn't focus, and said he felt like a rabbit in the headlights. Concerned, Jamie went to his GP and was referred for a CT scan and MRI scan at St John's Hospital in Livingston. The scans revealed a lesion on his brain, and just days later, specialists at the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh delivered the devastating news that Jamie had glioblastoma, an aggressive and incurable form of brain cancer. Doctors gave the dad of one a heartbreaking prognosis of just 3 to 6 months to live without treatment. But determined to fight, Jamie began a 6-week course of radiotherapy alongside oral chemotherapy in July 2025. He has since transitioned to a 6-month course of chemotherapy tablets and is now managing the best he can. In a bid to turn his pain into purpose, Jamie's wife Sharon, 47, and their son Kai, 15, took part in the Motherwell Walk of Hope last weekend to help raise vital funds for the Scottish Brain Tumour Research Centre of Excellence. Sharon, a nursery practitioner from Broxburn, said, "Jamie's just one of life's good guys. He's kind, caring, and always there for others. He was fit, active, and took brilliant care of himself, even with type 1 diabetes. We are still coming to terms with his diagnosis. Glioblastoma is brutal, but we want to raise awareness and support the research that could lead to a cure." Jamie went to his GP in May 2025 for his mild allergy symptoms, thinking it was just hay fever. But a CT and MRI at the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh days later confirmed that he actually had cancerous brain tumour. Sharon said, "At first we thought it was just hay fever, but by Thursday he looked totally confused and couldn't focus. He said he felt like a rabbit in the headlights. That's when I knew something was wrong and called our GP." She added, "I went to work and was really concerned, hoping they would get to the bottom of what was wrong. That's when Jamie called and asked me to go to the hospital straight away. I knew it could be bad news and the 10-minute drive felt like forever. But I never imagined how serious the outcome would be. The scans revealed a lesion on Jamie's brain, and he was told a few days later that he had glioblastoma, an aggressive and incurable form of brain cancer, and was given a prognosis of 3 to 6 months. The hospital didn't even need the biopsy to confirm it was a cancerous brain tumour," said Sharon. "The specialist said they could tell just from the scan, but a biopsy would help with his treatment, so they did one anyway. Without treatment, they told us Jamie might only have 3 to 6 months to live. With treatment, maybe 1 to 2 years. It felt like the ground had been ripped out from under us." Doctors initially prescribed Jamie a 6-week course of radiotherapy and oral chemotherapy, but the treatment left him bloated from steroids, mentally foggy, and constantly exhausted. A stark contrast to the active man he had always been. Now he's on a 6-month course of chemo tablets and is managing the best he can. Sharon and their son Kai took part in the Motherwell Walk of Hope to raise funds for brain tumour research last Saturday. Sharon said, "I found brain tumour research after Jamie was diagnosed and was shocked at how pitiful the funding for research into this disease is. When I saw the Walk of Hope in Motherwell, I knew we had to be there as a family. I needed something to focus on, something that felt like we were helping, and this was the ideal opportunity. Every step brings us closer to a cure." Ashley McWilliams, Community Development Manager at Brain Tumour Research, said, "Jamie's story is heartbreaking, but it's also a testament to the strength and love within families facing this disease. We're incredibly grateful to Sharon, Kai and Jamie for raising awareness and funds to help us get closer to a cure. The Walk of Hope saw participants create a sea of pink as they walked a 5-kilometre route through Strathclyde Country Park. Together, they raised more than £19,000 for brain tumour research."
Schoolgirl beaten by boy gang after enduring years of classroom bullies. A West Lothian schoolgirl was brutally battered by a gang of boys after enduring years of torment in classrooms at the hands of cruel bullies. The teenager, who was 13 at the time of the attack, was set upon by a group of 15 male youths outside Inverarmond High School in Livingston in April 2022. The youngster was beaten black and blue after being dragged to the ground and kicked on her face and body in a sickening attack. The girl's mum, Susan, was forced to move her daughter to another school. The 51-year-old told the Daily Record, "The bullying was constant. It started with name-calling, fat-shaming, and having things thrown at her all the time. They would pour juice over her in the corridor and kick her under the tables in class. It went unchecked for so long it bled into violence." Her daughter had been waiting at a bus stop outside of the school when she was targeted. A group of girls were calling her names, and then around 15 boys began pushing her around, Susan said. One boy rugby tackled her to the ground, and they all started kicking her while she was defenceless on the ground. She was left black and blue. There were bruises on her hands, and her left cheek was completely black. She had been so brave going to school facing her bullies. The attack broke her. Susan warned that acts of misogyny and violence towards female pupils from boys had taken the youth violence epidemic to a new level. She added, "We hear of girl-on-girl fights and boy-on-boy. There is a culture problem in schools and in society when young boys start battering girls. This level of misogyny takes the epidemic of youth violence to a whole new meaning." Earlier this year, we told how toxic masculinity is on the rise among young men in Scotland. Support workers told us that worrying themes of misogyny and violence in the harrowing Netflix drama Adolescence are playing out in real life as disaffected teenage boys become sucked into the dark world of social media. Colin McFarlane, National Programme Director at YMCA, said, "At the moment, young men are seen as the big bad. They are the perpetrators of crime, but nobody talks about the fact that they are also victims of those crimes. They're often young men choosing to disengage with education and society. We need to provide a counter-narrative to that and not wait until a young man gets involved in crime or misogyny to intervene. Wholeheartedly, there should be investment in youth work to allow young males to be guided and mentored. The closure and de-investment of community centres has really challenged where they find their support." Scottish Labour Justice spokesperson Pauline McNeill said, "There is a misogyny epidemic in Scotland, and it's worrying that these attitudes are taking hold in our schools. This shocking case shows girls are being let down by a system that doesn't properly protect them. A Scottish Government spokesperson said, "The Scottish Government is clear that any incident of bullying, violence in schools is unacceptable. Last year, we updated national anti-bullying guidance to support schools working with children and young people to create comprehensive anti-bullying measures and improve behaviour and relationships." A West Lothian Council spokesperson said, "All our schools take any allegations of bullying seriously, with staff working to provide a safe environment for every pupil."
Mother's tears over son's abuse. A mother broke down in tears as she told an inquiry her severely disabled son suffered assaults, mistreatment and sexual abuse at a West Lothian school for deaf children. Giving evidence to the Scottish Child Abuse Inquiry under the name Mary, the woman said her son was abandoned by the side of the road after being put out of a minibus on a trip from Donaldson's school. Mary cried in the hearing room after telling the inquiry of an incident in 2010 where she said he was sexually assaulted by other boys at the school, saying it had destroyed her family. The boy, who cannot be named for legal reasons, was born with severe learning difficulties. Mary said she and her family were initially ecstatic when he was given a daytime place at Donaldson's, as they felt mainstream education was not appropriate for him. However, she said the environment at the school was chaotic after it moved to a new premises in Lithgow in 2008, away from its old building in Edinburgh. Under questioning from Inquiry Counsel Ruth Innes, KC, Mary said that a senior teacher would be smoking a cigarette watching all this chaos, and she accused the teacher of seeking to cover up the abuse her son was suffering. Inquiry Chairwoman Lady Smith ordered that the name of the senior teacher who later left Donaldson's should not be publicised. Describing the assaults by other pupils, Mary said it began in Primary 1, Primary 2 wasn't too bad, then it was constant. She said her son, who started at Donaldson's in the 2000s and continued until he was a teenager, was punched by a group of other boys and would be hit with a chair. She said teachers failed to intervene, and she found that despite her complaints to the school, nothing was ever done. This left her son terrified. Mary said, adding that a teacher described him as a lazy pig. Mary said another teacher poured water over her son while he was also made to perform a cowboy dance in front of other pupils when he was tired. Describing this dance, she said it's like a Russian Cossack, it's all over the place. I thought it was disrespectful. To me, it's like making a mockery of him. Mary went on to tell the inquiry about an incident where a teacher put him out of the school minibus in the middle of Dalkeith as the children went on a trip, saying he was left abandoned until another child's parents collected him. Holding back tears, Mary told the inquiry, a boy who couldn't talk, who couldn't use a phone, was put out into the street. Her son was left badly sunburned by this ordeal, she said, telling the inquiry the senior teacher only said she would reprimand the staff member in question. Mary then gave evidence about the 2010 incident where her son was sexually abused when he was in a shower block. She said 2 boys grabbed him, got hold of a hairdryer and put it on his genitals. Her son was left hysterical as a result, she said. The 2 boys were sent home early from school, but Mary said the incident was only treated as trivial by the staff. She told the inquiry,
A sexual assault isn't trivial. It destroyed us. The inquiry then paused after Mary began crying before her evidence session resumed after a short break. She said a number of the school's governors, who Mary had approached with her concerns, resigned from its board, and the Scottish Government became involved in 2014. Several of the staff involved were suspended, and Mary was later given an apology. Mary accused the senior teacher of covering up evidence of her son's abuse, saying, "What's not okay is ruining people's lives by hiding it, because it ruined ours." In November 2014, Donaldsons were ordered to make urgent improvements following allegations against a senior staff member. Shortly afterwards, it emerged that almost half of the school's governors had resigned.
Family leads tributes to biker killed in crash. A young biker who tragically died on a West Lothian road has been named as Natalia Salaska. The 23-year-old woman passed away following a horror crash on the A803 near Linlithgow Bridge in West Lothian on Friday, September the 19th. The incident took place at around 8:35 p.m. and involved a green Kawasaki X400 motorbike and a blue Citroen C1 car. Emergency services attended, but Natalia, the rider of the motorbike, was pronounced dead at the scene. Her heartbroken family has had tributes describing Natalie as an intelligent, vibrant young woman. A tribute released through Police Scotland read, "It is with deep sadness that we announce the passing of our daughter, Natalia Salaski, who tragically lost her life on the 19th of September 25. She was just 23, full of promise and deeply loved." Natalia was an intelligent, vibrant young woman with an extraordinary passion for life. She was fearless in being true to herself and inspired everyone around her with her sharp mind, dedication and spark. To her family and friends, she was not only a daughter, but also a beloved granddaughter, a proud stepsister, a soulmate, a source of pride, and an amazing friend. We are grateful for the outpouring of love, kindness and support at this difficult time. The 36-year-old male driver of the Citroen car was not injured after being checked over at the scene. Sergeant Louise Beale from the Road Police Unit in Stirling said, "Our thoughts remain with the family and friends of Natalia at this very difficult time, and we will continue to offer them support. Inquiries are ongoing to establish the full circumstances, and I would again appeal to anyone who has not already spoken to officers to come forward if they have any information that could assist with our inquiries. Anyone with information is asked to call Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 3567 of the 19th of September 2025.
Shock as Russell decides to resign. Whitburn and Blackburn residents are facing a second by-election in a year after it was confirmed local Labour councillor David Russell had resigned. Councillor Russell handed his resignation to Graham Hope, the council's chief executive, on Monday morning. It is understood he has also quit the Labour Party. No reason has been given for his decision, and Mr Russell has not responded to requests from the Local Democracy Reporting Service, LDRS, for a statement. It is a blow for the minority Labour-led administration, however, which will see its headcount reduced to just 11 councillors, including fellow Whitburn councillor George Paul. Labour runs the West Lothian administration on a loose confidence and supply agreement, backed by 4 Conservatives, 1 Lib Dem and 1 independent councillor. Asked by the LDRS if he or the Labour group would comment on the resignation, the council and Labour group leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick simply said no. David Russell was elected for Labour last November to fill the seat vacated by Kirstine Sullivan after her election as MP in the Bathgate and Linlithgow constituency in July last year. A by-election was likely be held before the turn of the year, as it has to be held within 3 months of a seat being vacated.
£20 million to bring bit of pride to our place. The UK government has announced a £20 million investment to transform West Lothian neighbourhoods. The Pride in Place programme will see up to £280 million shared among 12 Scottish local authorities, including up to £20 million for West Lothian Council, to precisely target areas which can benefit most from funding being made available for a wide range of regeneration projects. Across the UK, 169 of the most in need communities will benefit. This includes revitalising high streets and town centres, preserving local heritage, providing housing, creating jobs, boosting productivity and skills, improving health and well-being, creating new transport links, providing education and opportunity, and improving safety and security. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said, "For too long, people have watched their towns and streets decline, powerless to stop boarded-up shops and neglected parks. That ends now. We're investing in the UK's future by backing the true patriots that build our communities up in neighbourhoods across every corner of the country. Because it's people who bring pride, hope and life to our communities. This is a huge investment, but what matters most is who decides how it's spent. The neighbours, volunteers and parents who know their communities best. The people with real skin in the game. We're choosing renewal over decline, unity over division. This is our plan for change in action, giving power and pride back to the people who make Britain great." Bathgate and Linlithgow MP Kirstine Sullivan added, "I promised to fight for investment for local communities and I am proud to have delivered. This £20 million has the potential to change lives over the next decade, and it will be spent where local people need it most. This is not about politicians in Holyrood or Westminster making decisions for us. It's about local people shaping their own future. Having now secured this record investment, I'll work to make sure every penny delivers for our community. The government is putting its money where its mouth is. This is not just £20 million, it's £20 million for the ideas of the people who live here." Plan to support health workers. A West Lothian woman has launched a new initiative to support healthcare staff to feel less overwhelmed at work after witnessing firsthand how nurses often put themselves last while caring for others. Maznaz Sharif, an efficiency and boundaries strategist, has created Better Boundaries, a series of small group online workshops designed to help nurses, carers and professional women protect their energy, stop being overwhelmed and sustain their performance without guilt. She was inspired after caring for her late mother during palliative care and seeing firsthand how dedicated healthcare staff often sacrifice their own well-being. She said, "It struck me that the very people who hold everything together for others rarely have the chance to stop and consider their own needs." The workshops, delivered online in groups of 6 to 8 participants, give staff the tools to set healthier boundaries, regain a sense of control over their time, and create sustainable ways of working that support both their personal and professional lives. Maznaz added, "I know from my own experience the pressures that come with juggling work, family, and cultural responsibilities. These sessions are about helping people see they don't have to choose between dedication to others and looking after themselves. When staff are supported, they can give even more in their roles without burning out." According to the NHS Staff Survey 2024, 41% of NHS staff reported being unwell due to work-related stress, while nearly 56% worked on days they didn't feel well enough to perform. A clear signal of the urgency for better staff support. The Better Boundaries workshops are available now and can be tailored to healthcare organisations and charities, and more details can be found at https://buildwithoutboundaries.com. And that's the end of part 1. We'll be back with part 2 very shortly. Welcome back to part 2, and we'll start part 2 with the family intimations. And there are only 2 deaths, and they are Angela Priestley Robertson. Saddened to announce the passing of Angela Robertson peacefully in her sleep at home on Sunday the 14th of September 2025 after a period of illness. Beloved wife of the late William Robertson and dearly loved mother and grandmother. She was a resident of Terfickin since 1982. She has bequeathed her body to Aberdeen Medical School in memory of her parents who met whilst training there. John Laird Swan. It is with great sadness that we share the passing of John, who died peacefully on Sunday, 21st of September 2025 at Holmes View Nursing Home, Broxburn. Beloved husband of Isabel, precious dad of Karen and Paul, father-in-law of Hugh and Jennifer, a loving granda of Jamie, Kerry and Mark, and great-granda of Nora, Emmy and Michal. And that's the intimations. We'll carry on with some more news.
Shock as vehicle set alight. Emergency services raced to a residential street in West Lothian in the early hours of Saturday morning after a car went up in flames by a primary school. Locals reported to being woken up by gun-like bands just after 4 a.m. on September 27th at Glendevin Park in Winchborough. Photos from the scene show a car engulfed in flames near a block of flats and parked right beside multiple other vehicles. Neighbours alerted the emergency services to the incident just across from Winchborough Primary School. It's currently unknown whether the incident is being treated as willful. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service told the Daily Record an initial call was received at 4:19 a.m. on Saturday, September 27th, to attend Glendevin Park in Winchborough. We sent one appliance to the scene and we left at 5:50 a.m. Just one vehicle was ablaze. Police Scotland were contacted for comment.
Zoo's work hailed. Livingston MP Gregor Poynton paid a return visit to Five Sisters Zoo as the popular attraction enjoyed its 20th anniversary celebrations. The West Calder Zoo, which first opened in 2005, has grown to become one of West Lothian's best-loved attractions, welcoming thousands of visitors each year while championing conservation, education and animal welfare. Earlier this year, it reached its final stages of the prestigious Great British Wildlife Restoration Award. During his visit, Mr. Poynton met with staff and volunteers who helped make the zoo such a special part of the community. He also had the unique opportunity to meet and feed Scotland's only Asiatic black bear, Yampil, named after the village in Ukraine where he was rescued. Mr. Poynton said, "Five Sisters Zoo is one of West Lothian's real treasures. For 20 years, it's been more than just a fantastic family day out. It has played a huge role in conservation, education, and supporting our local economy. The dedication of the staff, volunteers, and supporters has made it a true community asset we can all be proud of. I want to congratulate everyone involved on reaching this milestone and look forward to seeing the zoo continue to thrive for more than years to come."
Pupils star of the show as new school opens. West Lothian's newest primary school has been officially opened. A special ceremony involving the school and invited guests took place at Hawkhill Primary School in Winchborough. Hawkhill pupils were the stars of the show, performing 2 songs for the appreciative audience. Head of Education, Lisa Maria Purdy, welcomed all the invited guests, with head teacher Kirsten Patience setting out her vision for the new school as a safe and happy environment where children can achieve their full potential. Councillor Tony Boyle, who unveiled a plaque to declare the new school open, said, "It was a huge honour to be invited to open the fantastic new Hawkhill Primary. The state-of-the-art facility will be the ideal venue for learning for many Winchborough children now and in years to come. Thanks to all the Hawkhill pupils and staff for sharing their wonderful new school with us." Hawkhill Primary in Winchborough has been completed ahead of time and on budget by the council in conjunction with Hub South East and main contractor Morrison Construction. It's been fully funded by Winchborough Developments Limited as part of the development agreement linked with new housing in the area. The new school is required to meet the increasing demand for school places in the growing community of Winchborough, which is a core development area for West Lothian. It includes 8 classrooms, games hall, dining kitchen area, grass pitch, outdoor learning area and a nursery. The innovative design also allows it to be extended, if required, by increasing demand in the future. Hawkhill head teacher Kirsten Patience added, "We were delighted to welcome our invited guests to share the official opening of Hawkhill Primary with us. Our excellent staff team are already making the best of our superb new building to deliver both the best possible education for our young learners and positive relations with the wider school community." Widow urges more people to join the organ donation scheme. A West Lothian woman is calling on Scots to consider organ and tissue donation after her husband suddenly died. Louise Johnston, 46, had been married to hubby Jed, 53, for around a year when he suffered a brain aneurysm and subsequent stroke in 2023. Mr. Johnston, a postman and grandfather, was treated at the Royal Hospital of Edinburgh but was unable to recover and was on life support before he died. Monday, marked the start of Organ and Donation Week. And Mr. Johnston was a registered organ donor. Mrs. Johnston says that thanks to this, he was able to save the lives of several others, as medics said he would not recover from his aneurysm or stroke. Mrs. Johnston said, "My husband Jed was full of fun. He was an amazing person. We met later in life and married just over a year before he died, and we'd been looking forward to our future together. We talked about life after death, so I knew that organ donation was what he wanted, and I respected his wishes. I was asked if I wanted to turn the machine off to let his heart stop, but I couldn't do it because I knew that then there was a chance that he couldn't be used, and what a waste of a good heart, because Jed had the most beautiful heart. He's left a hero's legacy. Jed's wishes provided 4 other families with a chance of life. For me, that's something really special. 2 years later, I've got this amazing feeling that Jed's heart is living on." Scots over the age of 16 have the choice to opt out of being an organ and tissue donor, as it is assumed you agree to being a donor if you do nothing. In the Lothian area alone, more than 610,000 people have registered their decision already, which is 67.4% of the population. Mrs. Johnson urged others to register their decision on organ donation and make their wishes known to friends and family. Professor John Casey said, "Jed's decision to join the organ donation register is a powerful reminder of the positive impact one person can have and how important it is to discuss organ donations with loved ones." Professor Casey, Clinical Director and Transplant Surgeon at Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh, NHS Lothian, added, "Although we have an opt-out policy, it is still important for individuals to make their wishes clear and have those conversations with their families. So, for details about organ donation and to register your decision, visit organdonationscotland.org.
Waspy women continue fight. Linlithgow MSP Fiona Hislop met with Waspy West Lothian Group at Whitburn Partnership Centre to hear more about their campaign for fair compensation. Waspy West Lothian Group currently have 270 members campaigning for compensation for women born in the 1950s who have been impacted by changes to the state pension age without proper notice. Fiona said, "I was pleased to meet with several members of Waspy West Lothian Group to hear more about their ongoing campaign for compensation for women impacted by changes to the state pension age. Earlier this year, I was pleased to vote for a motion of support for compensation for Waspy women in the Scottish Parliament, and I will continue to call for the Waspy women to receive the compensation they deserve. The Scottish Government has consistently called on the UK Government to compensate the Waspy women who have suffered as a result of their wrongs. The group currently have 270 members. However, it is estimated that the number of women impacted by this issue in West Lothian is much higher at around 10,000. I would encourage anyone who is affected by this to contact Waspy West Lothian Group directly by emailing waspywestlothian@gmail.com. Women Against State Pension Inequality is what Waspy stands for. And there are 3.6 million women born in the 1950s, including hundreds of thousands in Scotland. They were not properly informed of the rise in state pension age to bring them into line with men. In 2022, Sir Keir Starmer signed a pledge drawn up by Scottish campaigners for fair and fast compensation. However, Labour did not commit to compensation in its 2024 manifesto. In March last year, the Ombudsman recommended the women be paid up to £2,950 each after it found maladministration in how the changing pension age was communicated.
Girl Guide Victoria is all set for red carpet. A West Lothian-based girl guiding volunteer is looking forward to celebrating achieving a top girl guiding award at an exclusive red carpet event. Victoria Thompson, who has earned a prestigious Queen's Guide Award, will join hundreds of fellow award recipients in the upcoming Girl Guiding Celebrates event in Manchester. The exciting event, taking place on October the 11th, will honour Girl Guiding's most recent award-winning volunteers, along with other members who have been nominated for their amazing achievements. The unforgettable afternoon event will see attendees walk the red carpet like true VIPs before enjoying a fun-packed event with performances in a special variety show. Victoria from Livingston said, "I'm really proud to be receiving my Queen's Guide Award. The award is the highest you can work towards in girl guiding and represents years of dedication, leadership and personal challenge. It was such an exciting journey that let me bring together everything I love about guiding, adventure and science." It took Victoria a total of 2.5 years to complete her Queen's Guide Award. To achieve the award, she led Brownie meetings, volunteered with Dart to Dublin, and organised a joint science evening between Brownies and guides. Outdoor adventures were a big part of the award too, including completing the Going Away With qualification with Brownies and a 9-day kayaking expedition along the Great Glen Canoe Trail. A passionate scientist, Victoria also inspired an interest in science from Girl Guiding's young members by creating a STEM activity pack for units. She explored the impact of gender in STEM roles by creating a survey which was shared across LinkedIn, reviewing outcomes from Girl Guiding Girls' Attitude Surveys and exploring key legislation changes such as equal pay and the gender pay gap. Victoria first joined Girl Guiding as a Brownie when she was 7 years old. She went on to join Guides and then Rangers. She completed her leadership qualification at 18 and has been running her own Brownie unit, 14th Livingston Brownies, since 2023. Girl Guiding has been a huge part of my life for as long as I can remember, she said. Reflecting on her time volunteering with Girl Guiding, Victoria advocates the belief that Girl Guiding shows girls and young women that they can do anything. "I love seeing girls develop new skills, grow in confidence, and achieve things they didn't think were possible," she said. Volunteering for Girl Guiding is incredibly rewarding. It's given me leadership experience, a sense of purpose, and memories I'll always treasure. I'd recommend it to anyone because you give back to your community, but you gain so much in return.
Valneva team bid to support Team Jack. Scotland's largest vaccine producer has pledged to raise £10,000 for its West Lothian charity partner. Employees from across Valneva, Scotland,
have come together to raise funds and awareness for Team Jack Foundation, a Livingston-based charity that supports children and young people with cancer and their families. To date, over £6,000 has been raised for the charity, with support coming from a wide range of activities. These have included 6 members of the Valneva team forming the Glistening Glutes team to tackle the Tough Mudder Scotland Challenge at Hopetoun House in June, and a wider Valneva Scotland team taking on the Big Stroll at Glasgow Kiltwalk 2025, amongst various other site-wide fundraising efforts. The partnership is part of Valneva's wider commitment to giving back to the local community following its pledge of fundraising support and volunteer hours for Team Jack last year. This included colleagues at Valneva who volunteered to help with the preparations of Team Jack's Christmas party by gift wrapping goodie bags and painting and decorating of the charity's Jack's Den hub in Livingston. Greg Rooney, Managing Director of Valneva Scotland, said, "The entire Valneva team has been truly inspired by the incredible work Team Jack does right here in our local community. As 2 organisations based in Livingston, it's been particularly meaningful to support a cause so close to home. There's a real sense of team spirit, with everyone bringing energy and enthusiasm to each initiative. With more fundraising events planned over the coming months, we're excited to get stuck in and reach our £10,000 target." Future fundraising efforts include a team from Valneva taking part in Edinburgh Kiltwalk's Mighty Stride, trekking 20 miles across Scotland's capital city, along with a spooktacular Halloween bake sale and an honesty box for sweet treats in the staff canteen. Team Jack offers emotional, social and practical support to children and young people with cancer across Scotland. This includes assisting families with travel to doctor's appointments, music therapy, counselling, plus pamper and activity days. With headquarters at Jack's Den, Ochel House, Livingston, the charity also operates multiple Jack's Den outreach hubs across Scotland, providing a lifeline for families to receive support, comfort and respite during difficult times. Alison Barr, Chief Executive at Team Jack, said, "We're honoured that as part of our 10K for 10 Years challenge, our fabulous friends at Valneva have engaged in this with lots of exciting ideas. We provide a vital lifeline for young people and families facing incredibly challenging times. It can be an isolating and frightening experience, full of uncertainty, and we do everything we can to bring comfort, support and connection. It's thanks to vital fundraising efforts like this that we're able to continue our work and reach even more families when they need it most. To find out about Jack's Den and how to support its services, visit www.teamjack.org.uk. For more information on Valneva, visit www.valneva.com.
Council in School Community Wings saving bid setback. West Lothian Council may struggle to make savings in its school community wings. In January, the 12 schools were controversially included in the 1 million savings plan built around community centres. But as plans to standardise management are finalised and set to go before councillors early next month, a senior council officer told councillors it won't be one size fits all. Only 7 of the 12 community wings located in primary schools around the county have management committees, which were asked how to choose between 1 or 2 options for the future. 4 preferred a recharge option of a new lease. One chose the option to have the school manage the wing, one is undecided, and one more has yet to formally respond, but has indicated the school management option. In an update to the Corporate Policy and Resources PDSP, Ralph Bell, Customer and Community Service Manager, said, "The operating arrangements for school community wings vary from location to location, and in many cases these arrangements are historic, outdated, and in some cases undocumented. These inconsistencies and the lack of suitable reference documentation has resulted in a range of operational issues, health and safety, financial and curriculum related. And in some instances this has given rise to ongoing tensions between community groups and those responsible for safe operation of the school." SNP Group Councillor Linda Kenna asked, "Only 7 wings have responded. If they do not respond or interact, does that mean management reverts to council ownership?" Mr. Bell says that's not necessarily the case. The 7 have management committees operating. In the rest, if you want to book, you have to come through the education. All 7 are unique. All have their own complexities, whether that's from access or how they are run internally. Mr. Bell considered it won't be a one-size-fits-all. The intention of this engagement is to find a solution that meets the needs of school, education and the community. The way the use of school wings have developed historically have made the problem of finding savings all the more complex. Adding to the difficulty, the process has to involve council staff across 3 departments: customer services, education and property services. Mr. Bell's report to the committee outlined a projected timeline of implementing changes starting in December and running through until August next year. A spokesman for the council told the local Democracy Reporting Service a recommendation will be included in the report, which is to be presented to councillors in October. Until elected members consider that report and agree an approach, we cannot confirm the details of how the savings will be delivered. And that brings us to the end of part 2. Welcome back to part 3. And part 3 is mainly our pub quiz. And here we go, 6 questions. Which group recorded the album Parallel Lines in 1978? Was it the Boomtown Rats, Blondie or the Police? Question 2. Peter Buck is best known as the lead guitarist of which rock group? Was it Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers or R.E.M.? Question 3. What is the chemical symbol for aluminium? Is it AU, AM or AL? Question 4. In which U.S. state is the city of Detroit? Is it in Mississippi, Missouri or Michigan? Question 5. Which Hollywood star married the actor Jason Robards in 1961? Was it Audrey Hepburn, Lauren Bacall or Ingrid Bergman? And question 6. In the abbreviation GCHQ, what does the C stand for? Is it code, communications, or country? So you can mull all that over, and I'll give you the answers at the start of part 4. And that brings us to the end of part 3, and we'll start part 4 with the answers to the quiz. Welcome back to part 4, and we'll start part 4 with the answers to the quiz. Which group recorded the album Parallel Lines in 1978? The Boomtown Rats, Blondie, or The Police? The answer is Blondie. Question 2. Peter Buck is best known as the lead guitarist of which rock group? Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers, or R.E.M.? And the answer is R.E.M. Question 3. What is the chemical symbol for aluminium? Is it AU, AM, or AL? And the answer is AL. Question 4. In which U.S. state is the city of Detroit? Is it Mississippi, Missouri, or Michigan? And the answer is Michigan. Question 5. Which Hollywood star married the actor Jason Robards in 1961? Was it Audrey Hepburn, Lauren Bacall, or Ingrid Bergman? And the answer is Lauren Bacall. And question 6, in the abbreviation GCHQ, what does the C stand for? Is it code, communications, or country? And the answer is communications. And that's the answers to the quiz, and we'll carry on with some more general news items.
More work to be done for the library. More than 3 years after it moved, some people in Livingston don't know where the local library is, and there's no money in place to put up signs showing them the way in Carmondine and Deans, councillors heard this week. Council officers working on the regeneration of some of the poorest parts of Livingston agreed there was a need to improve use of the £1 million council partnership building. Colin Lewis from Carmondine Community Council told a meeting of Livingston North Local Area Committee that he had been berated by a member of the public while campaigning for the upcoming community council elections. They told me you couldn't even stop them shutting the library. That's 3 years after it was moved. Now it says that signage will be put up when funding is available. As far as we were aware, funding for signs was included in the move. Funding is essential, said Mr. Lewis. Regeneration Officer Scott McKillop agreed, adding, I will feed back that people are unaware 3 years down the line. That's concerning. In his report on the regeneration programme, Scott said, in response to community engagement indicating a lack of awareness around the relocation of the library to the Partnership Centre, a new facility sign and both updated road and pedestrian signage is planned when funding becomes available. In the meantime, a shrub bed that was shielding visibility of the Partnership Centre from the main road in Carmondine was cut back, and signage related to the old library has been removed. Colleagues are working with a new tenant for the library building to display signposting towards the library's new location. The report added efforts have been undertaken to help utilise the asset of Livingston North Partnership Centre as a base to help target services to those who need it most in the Livingston North areas. Access to Employment and Skills Development Scotland have based themselves there in addition to the Council's own customer information service and library service. The library moved during the COVID lockdown, which brought its own difficulties of access to the public buildings. The Partnership Centre was opened in 2021 in a refurbished building that was then known as the Ability Centre, which provides a day support service for adults who have a physical disability. The Ability Centre retains its function but also hosts the library and other council services. Carmondine Library, housed in a 60s building that forms the square around the local shopping centre car park, was moved only a few hundred yards along the same side of the square, despite a strident campaign by Carmondine Community Council against the move. The original building is now a martial arts studio and gym. The new partnership building occupies a deeply sloping site from the shopping centre square down to a road running alongside the access to Livingston North railway station. The Community Council had argued for the retention of the original library. It feared that few people would use the new facility because of apparent difficulty of access, including sloping, overgrown pathways leading from the shopping centre. A spokesperson for West Lothian Council told the local democracy reporting service, "We have been looking at how to make best use of Livingston North Partnership Centre as a base for essential services to those who need it most in the area. Some customers' feedback has highlighted there is some lack of awareness about the relocation of the library among some community members, and improved signage is now planned for the future." Like every library in West Lothian, Carmondine Library usage is below pre-COVID levels, but are steadily increasing.
Holyrood must pay for brown bin cost. West Lothian's council leader says he expects Holyrood to pay up when it comes to covering the cost of brown bins. Labour's Lawrence Fitzpatrick responded after the local democracy reporting service revealed that it will be at least 2027 before a decision is made. Garden waste collection is not a statutory duty for councils. Most cash-strapped authorities have introduced charges to households to uplift garden waste. In West Lothian, it costs £52 a year. It is much higher in some other authorities. Councillor Fitzpatrick told the LDRS, "If the service is made statutory, then we could expect the Scottish Government to compensate us for loss of income." He added, "Nobody wanted to introduce charges for garden waste collections, but they are non-statutory services and the service has to be funded somehow." Out of Scotland's 32 local authorities, 24 or 75% of councils charge for garden waste, with others considering introducing a charge. And Councillor Fitzpatrick added, "It is worth noting that because councils are not required by law to collect garden waste, unlike food waste, we do not receive any funding from the Scottish Government for this. We shouldn't forget that income generated isn't profit. It is used to pay for the collection service. This is why the vast majority of councils have garden waste charges." The LDRS reported that, while the introduction of the charge in 2024 was greeted with fury by householders, unions representing council staff welcomed it as the first significant investment in waste collection services in years because it would protect jobs. And Councillor Fitzpatrick went on to point out, the Scottish Government has cut £184 million from our budget since 2007. The council leader added, 75% of council funding is now ring-fenced for Scottish Government policies, so we have hardly any room for manoeuvre as we try to navigate our way through the Scottish Government's massive cuts to councils. Livingston Conservative councillor Alison Adamson asked the question earlier this month when and if the government would start to cover the cost of garden waste uplifts and permits would no longer be needed.
Association's Adam decides to step down. 2 campaign launches and a new chair ensured that this year's Almond Housing Association AGM had a lot to share. Adam Turner stepped down after over 4 years as chairman, and although he will be staying on as a member of the board, he reflected with pleasure on his time as chair. He said, "It's been a real privilege to have held this role for such an inspiring organisation. I've particularly enjoyed the role the chair plays in guiding the board towards collective and clear decisions, whether that's responding to the challenges that inevitably arise or in steering Almond into the future." Taking over the reins is Vicky Bluck, who is Almond's second ever female chair. Vicky hails from Aberdour in Fife and lives with her husband Matt and 7-year-old daughter Grace. She's had a long career in risk management and currently leads a large team within the consumer business of Lloyds Banking Group. She said, "Almond Housing is looking to the future, with a focus on how we continue to provide quality social housing for communities across West Lothian. And it's a real privilege to be leading the board through this period of exciting change. I'm also looking forward to spending time with our communities and seeing the amazing work of Almond in action." Community was a strong theme at the AGM with the soft launch of the Be Kind campaign. Devised by Community Engagement Officer Jane Deary, Be Kind is an initiative that will run for the next 12 months with a calendar of events planned for each month. The main launch coincided with Scottish Housing Day, which this year had the theme of Everybody Needs Good Neighbours. Jane said, "Kindness is one of the values for Almond, and I thought it would be lovely to expand on this." Linking in with the Scottish Housing Day theme felt like an ideal opportunity. At the moment, life in general feels tougher for everyone, but a little kindness can make all the difference.
McLagan tribute in the Commons. Bathgate and Linlithgow MP Kirstine Sullivan has successfully led efforts to have a portrait of Peter McLagan, MP, Scotland's first black Member of Parliament, installed in the House of Commons. Born in British Guiana, McLagan's mother was a black woman and his father a plantation owner. Ms. Sullivan first raised McLagan's legacy in her Black History Month speech, acknowledging both his achievements and the complex historical context of his life, including his inherited wealth from a slave-owning father. Ms. Sullivan told the House, "We must be willing to learn to understand the nuances of the past if we are to challenge racism and intolerance today. We are all historians in this respect." In the 1865 general election, Peter McLagan was elected and became Scotland's first black MP, representing the constituency of Linlithgowshire. He championed causes such as women's suffrage and the right for women to become doctors. McLagan's election marked a significant milestone in British political history. The Pioneers display leads to the public gallery and a symbolic place where visitors encounter the stories of trailblazing MPs. McLagan's inclusion ensures that his legacy will inspire future generations and reflect the diversity of Britain's democratic history. The campaign to have McLagan's portrait displayed was initiated by local historian David Main and supported by Ms Sullivan and her former council colleague, Councillor Harry Cartmel. Ms Sullivan said, "Peter McLagan's story has been overlooked for far too long. His election in 1865 as Scotland's first black MP was a landmark moment in the development of our democracy and a point of pride for local residents. It is right that his portrait now hangs in the House of Commons where it belongs. It serves to remind us that progress is built on the courage of those who came before us. This recognition is not just about the past, it's about inspiring a more representative future, one that reflects our local communities." David Main continued, "We should mentally stand back for a moment and reflect on the fact that the most successful MP at the ballot box in the latter half of the 19th century was black. This was at a time when the British Empire was at its height. When McLagan was first elected to Parliament, the Americans across the pond had been battling it out for 4 years over the twin issues of states' rights and the abolition of slavery. Meanwhile, on this side of the pond, Scottish voters were electing their first black MP, Peter McLagan. Councillor Harry Cartmel added, "I applaud Kirstein's unwavering and successful campaign to have Peter McLagan's achievements as Scotland's first mixed-race Member of Parliament recognised both in his former constituency, which she now represents, and crucially getting his portrait hung in the UK Parliament Hall of Pioneers." Among his many heartfelt campaigns Peter McLagan championed were women's suffrage, Irish Home Rule and animal welfare reforms. Unlike many MPs of this era, Peter lived in his constituency and was active locally. The wrought iron McLagan fountain, presently situated at Bathgate's town centre, was presented by McLagan and his wife Elizabeth to the people of Bathgate. And as well as being aesthetically stunning, it originally connected to Petershill Reservoir, providing clean running water to all Bathgate bairns.
New school extension gets official opening. A superb new state-of-the-art extension to West Calder High School has been completed. Provost Cathy Muldoon officially opened the new block, which will provide fantastic facilities for pupils to learn key subjects such as science, technology and computing. The extension is required to cope with rising pupil numbers from ongoing development in the school's catchment area and has been funded through contributions from housing developers. The extension will increase the capacity of the school to over 1,300, providing teaching spaces over 2 stories with an accessible outdoor learning area on the roof space. Provost Cathy Muldoon said it was a huge honour to open the outstanding new extension at West Calder High School. The fantastic new facilities will provide an excellent venue for learning for staff and pupils, now and for many years to come. West Calder head teacher Jerry Higgins added, "We were delighted to welcome our invited guests in to see our wonderful new extension to West Calder High School. The additional quality spaces for teaching will help us to continue to improve the learning experience we can offer our young people.
Anne-Marie appointed as school's head. Anne-Marie Jess has been appointed as the new head teacher of West Lothian's newest secondary school. Sinclair Academy in Winchborough was opened in 2023, and Ms. Jess succeeds Dr. Burns as the school's second head teacher. A previous teacher of business education and principal teacher of pastoral, she served as deputy head teacher at St Mungo's High School in Falkirk for the past 10 years. Ms. Jess achieved her degree in business studies and education from Stirling University, where she also gained her postgraduate diploma in educational leadership and into headship qualification. Outside of school, she enjoys Pilates, walking her dog, and spending time with her family. Miss Jess said, "It is my honour to have been appointed as the head teacher of Sinclair Academy and to work with such incredible young people and families in this new state-of-the-art school. I am privileged to be able to lead our community of faith and learning and to build on the strong foundations and values which have been established over the last 2 years. I look forward to working with our school community to continue to drive our school forward as we grow."
New homes on ex-hospital site. Barrett Redrow have officially launched David Wilson Homes at Bangor Village. Built on the grounds of the former hospital just outside Livingston, the regeneration of the site is being carried out by a variety of house builders, including Barrett Redrow, which includes Barrett Homes and David Wilson Homes. The home builder launched its first phase of the development earlier this year with Barrett Homes. The launch of David Wilson Homes represents another milestone in the large-scale regeneration of the historic Bangor Village estate, transforming it into a vibrant, sustainable residential community that is set to introduce 998 new homes. The homes offer light-filled lounges, open-plan kitchens with dining areas that flow to the garden and the convenience of utility spaces. Across the range, layouts include 3 and 4 double bedrooms with many properties featuring ensuite, main bedrooms, family bathrooms and private driveways or integral garages. Whether it's a 3-storey design with a top-floor main suite or a spacious 4-bedroomed home with French doors opening at the garden, buyers can choose a style that perfectly fits their lifestyle. Lorraine Patterson, Sales Director at Barrett Developments East Scotland, said, "As locals will know, the Bangor site is cherished within the community for its scenic beauty and rich heritage. We are proud to have launched David Wilson's Homes here, designed with families, couples and individuals in mind, and inspired by the spacious tranquility of Bangor. We are excited to see the site reborn as a vibrant place to live and to thrive." And that brings us to the end of part 4, and although that brings us to the end of the news from the Courier, please stay tuned for something different. As usual, Ray, one of our team, has been out and about and has recorded an interview with Katie Roy from the Armadale Shed, and we have added the recording here.
Hello listeners, and welcome to another edition of our interview feature. This time we've been lucky enough to persuade Katie Roy of the Armadale Shed to take some time out of her busy schedule and sit in the hot seat. So without further ado, we'll begin. Welcome, Katie, and thank you very much for making the time available to speak to us.
Thanks very much for inviting me along.
Can you give our listeners a brief introduction to you as a person? How long have you been with the Armadale Shed? What's your background? Are there any interesting snippets that our listeners could know?
Okay, well, I've always lived in Armadale and I like to be very involved in my local community. I work in the local high school and I also do youth work at the community centre. I'm the president of Armadale Children's Gala Day and I also play in a local flute band. As for the Shed, I've been a member since 2018 and I became a trustee of the Shed in 2019.
Okay. Now that we know a little more about you, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about the Shed movement and the role that you have within Armadale Shed.
Well, Men's Shed were started in Australia by a health visitor who'd been visiting veterans and realised that a lot of them were working in their own sheds on their own projects. And she had suggested getting premises where they could meet and work together, share tools, share ideas, and maybe build up a bit of a social network to help support each other. Me, because I work full time, I can only get to the Shed during the school holidays to do my own projects. And I'd never done any woodwork before because when I was at school a long time ago, boys did woodwork and the girls did cooking and sewing. So I never had touched any tools or anything. But to be fair, the guys in the Shed are really supportive. They were very supportive when I first started and they helped me a lot, which is great. But also the local high school where I work and the Shed have a partnership where kids come along on a Friday morning and I get to go with them. So that's my wee extra bit. And the kids love doing this and they get a lot of their experience there. So it's an amazing partnership, really.
That's wonderful. Are the people in the Shed a little older, shall we say?
Yes, the majority of the people who are in the Shed are retired. You have got to be over 18 to join the Shed, but the majority of people are retired. There are a few younger ones like me in their 50s who go along when they can.
Right. Okay. Are there any other sheds within West Lothian, and if so, where are they?
Yeah, there are actually, we're members of the Scottish Men's Shed Association, so you can get information on the internet about where local sheds are and stuff to you. But currently there are 4 sheds in West Lothian, which are ourselves. There's one in Linlithgow, which is a bit, I think they do like kind of tool repairs. There's one in Broxburn and one in Livingston. And there is a new one being started in Bathgate. They've had their inaugural meeting just last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago. But in Scotland, there's 138 sheds in operation and another 65 that are in development. I would like to say that Armadale Shed is a proud community shed where both men and women are very welcome. Some sheds are for men only, but we're quite progressive. We accept women as well.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, now, I do recall that there was a terrible fire a couple of years ago. And that must have been an awful setback for you as an organisation. How do you recover from something like that?
Well, it was a really terrible time, to be honest. Thankfully, all the members that were there that day got out safe and sound. There was actually people in the Shed at the time that it happened. But everybody got out without any injuries, which was obviously the main priority. We were really lucky because our landlords, who are Places for People, they were really supportive of us. And they were just as determined as we were that we would be rebuilt and we'd be back in business. And the local community were absolutely amazing. There was a couple who do an Armadale Illuminations light show at Christmas time, and they choose a charity that they want to give the money to. And we got over £2,000 from them, which was outstanding. And some of the kids for the school had actually been out a week before the fire happened to do a wee interview as part of their media course. So when they found out what had happened, they started a GoFundMe page and that raised in the region of £3,000. So, I mean, the community were just, we can't thank them enough, really. So it was just so humbling to get that help for everybody round about. And there was also other sheds in Scotland who gave us donations of tools or money, and do you know, it was amazing. But thankfully we were properly insured and that did take a lot of the pressure off us as well.
Okay, well, that's really good to hear. Everybody coming round to support you.
Yeah.
In today's financial climate, It must be really challenging for you as an organisation to keep the shed open all the time. And I imagine you have to do a lot of fundraising, as you've just been hearing. Do you get any funding from local or central government?
Well, obviously, I think all organisations in our kind of situation, it is a challenge, and members have to work hard to keep it going. Local councillors support us through their members' disbursement funds. The shed members take out an annual membership, and they also pay a contribution on the days that they attend to help cover things like your teas and coffees and overheads and stuff. Local businesses also offer us a wee bit of support. So there's some businesses that give us donations of wood and stuff, so which then gets passed on to the members. So that's really good as well. We take on commissions to make things like planters, benches, bespoke items. We try and do a bit of fundraising through that. However, after we got back on our feet after the fire, we did undertake to make some of these items for local churches, schools and charities as a way of thanking them for the support we got from them after the fire. So we are a registered charity as well, so we can apply for funding where it's applicable. But we're obviously aware that when we're doing that, other charities are also chasing the same funding. So, it's like we're all kind of in the same boat in respect to that,
Okay. As you may know, Boomerang is staffed entirely by volunteers. Do you have any staff as well as volunteers?
No, just a band of dedicated volunteers who run the shed. Don't have any paid staff at all.
Okay. Well, that's the way we work. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
If they want to, can people just turn up at the shed, or can you tell our listeners how they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so to use the shed facilities, like all the tools and everything, people would need to be a member. And as I said, obviously, they need to be over the age of 18. People are free to visit the shed and have a cup and a chat with members, just have a look about and say, is this something I would like to get into? And if it is something that they think they'd like to be a part of, they would need to fill in an application form, and this would then go before the Board of Trustees for approval. Obviously, we're not a big building, so we are kind of limited in the number of people we can have in at a time. So we do try and kind of cap the number of members we have. So we might have, at times, we have a waiting list. And once they are given approval, they would need to undertake an induction where they would be trained to use all the equipment safely. Obviously, safety is kind of paramount. I mean, some of the members like to come along just for the social interaction, have a wee cup of tea and a blether and see what everybody's up to. But some of them are quite dedicated and work on their own projects, and they're quite specific about what they're doing. But the most important objective of the shed is to provide a safe place for people from all over West Lothian to work on either their own projects or projects for the community. And these activities promote a sense of well-being and definitely helps to reduce loneliness for people and isolation within the community.
Yeah. And
that's what the shed movement was set up to do.
Yeah. What a great movement as well. That's absolutely essential nowadays. Absolutely
I would think
essential.
so, yeah, definitely.
Okay, and you have a website?
Yeah, we have a website, www.armadaleshed.org.uk.
Okay, and is there an email address as well?
Yeah, it's armadaleshed@gmail.com.
Okay.
And we also have a Facebook page, which is just Armadale Shed. So you can send messages over that, or you can have a wee look and see some of the things that people have been working on. It is quite far-reaching. I just wanted to mention this. One of the kids from the school who did a project that he just finished, we put a picture on Friday. This is now Monday, and it's had over 16,000 views on the picture of the young lad from the school, which is fantastic. So we do have a lot of followers or supporters or people who like to see what we're doing.
Probably envious as well.
Possibly.
That's wonderful. That has been very helpful. Thank you once again for coming to speak to us.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure to come along.
Well, listeners, that brings us to the end of this interview, and we hope you've enjoyed it. And we will bring you another feature soon.
In our recording sessions, we always like to include, where possible, a poem or a composition written and read by one of our team, Ray. So, Before we wind up our recording session this week, perhaps Ray would again read out one of his compositions. Over to you, Ray.
Tonight I have two pieces for you. The first is called The Huntress. She yawns and shows her two white fangs, designed by nature to rip flesh or snap a neck. Her whiskers twitch as a scent drifts across. She's black as the darkest night, moving silently through the undergrowth, some kind of grim reaper in feline form. Her bright green eyes shine as she stalks her prey, inching forward, sinuous, slow and low. The high grass hardly moves as she closes in. She crouches now, waiting, poised to kill, focused only on her victim, tensed, ready. Then she springs, and with one flash of her paws, the mouse is caught and clamped between her jaws, a present, a meal for her family. Though we may think that they are tamed by us, our pets are still just versions of their past. The age-old instincts never fade or die. My house panther remains true to her roots. The second piece is my words set to music. The music is produced by AI, and it's called Writer's Block.
I walked and saw a tree upon a hill, but all I felt was vacant emptiness. Wildflowers grew on grassy banks, but still I could not write about them with success. The rain fell and I was not moved at all. The sun shone, but to beauty I was blind. In hope I gazed beyond the garden wall, yet words just would not come into my mind. Pressure of my life bears down on me. My soul is shaded by the clouds of time, which stifles all my creativity. Then light steals in, chases the dark away. My muse returns, and I will write today.
We have now come to the end of this week's recording. We hope that you have enjoyed it. When you have finished listening to this recording, can I remind you once again to place the USB stick in the wallet, reverse the label so that the cutout corner is at the top right-hand side, and post it back to us as soon as possible. And remember, wallets should only be posted in a post box. Do not post them in a post office. So, it's goodbye from the members of our team.
Ferine.
Nan.
Ray. From Andrew, our engineer, and from me, Jim. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.